You ready for this?
Gonna be fun.
You will not stand in my way.
Frostborn, hunger. This pleases me.
I do not fear you, mortal.
Your soul shall be mine.
Don't make me laugh.
Needs a brew? Oh, I do. Feel a shredding, baby. Let the battle begin.
So hello and welcome to the 61st episode of the Nexus Trolls, podcast all about Heroes of the Storm, part of the Trolls.gg Entertainment Network. LiQuiud, thank you for holding in the chuckles this time.
We've been around a while. I'm like, Jesus, 61 episodes.
Yeah,
man.
I know it's no short order. Over a year now. This is our third calendar year we've been doing shows for, so it's kind of cool. So I'm your host, Linus Dazkilius. The guy you heard a second ago is LiQuiud, and we've also got Mystic joining us as per usual. Welcome to the show again, gents.
How's it going?
Oh, pretty good. You guys are probably pretty excited because not only do we have Blaze, a potentially solo tank, and definitely a StarCraft character live on the PTR now, so that should make both of you guys happy, right?
Yes.
Oh yeah, I'm excited.
you guys are killing me. Give me more than that. yeah. I'm actually really excited here. We got some...
I mean, he's a really fun character. I played some of him on in try mode, and he looks really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's the problem. I've only played him in try mode, so I'm like looking forward to actually playing him.
That's the problem with the PTR. I mean, I had the opportunity, luckily, yesterday to play with some listeners in the PTR. We 5-man queued, so it's great because like, your queue times are like 40 seconds maybe, and you can just rotate through who plays who. So I got a chance to play Malfurion. I had a chance to play Blaze. We're already getting questions in the chat. Why Sadfurion? It might be an unpopular opinion, but I really don't like the Malfurion rework. Malfurion is probably the hero I've got with most games played on him. When I climbed up through Hero League ages and ages ago, I used to main Malfurion, and then playing Chair League, Malfurion was kind of the go-to healer for me for a while too, and it feels really weird playing with these changes on him. So I don't know how it's going to shake out, how he's going to be. We're going to talk about him today.
I mean,
in depth though.
Everybody else is going to love him.
Of course it's going to happen, right? I don't know. Well, we've got first impressions. We're going to be talking about Malfurion. We're going to be talking about first impressions about Blaze today on the show. Of course, LiQuiud's got some esports news too. The new year rang in, and there was immediately news about a couple big esports orgs. So LiQuiud will be going over those. We got a little bit of other news, and then Mystic's going to be doing a shakedown at the end of the show. But before we start our show, we always want to thank our patrons over at patreon.com/trollsgg. Show's always going to be free, but if you're looking for a way to support us, you can do so over there. And we've got a Troll of the Week this week. Ghost Bear. I'm pretty sure he hasn't been a Troll of the Week previously. I didn't actually get confirmation or double check that, so he may be a repeat Troll of the Week. But Ghost Bear, he's often in our Discord chatting up. I've played some games with him as well. So Ghost Bear, thanks for being a friend of the show. You're our Troll of the Week this week. So you guys want to roll into the news?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Someday, this will make a great story.
So Blaze had a spotlight video come out. Coincidentally, he's also in the PTR as of January the 2nd, which was, I believe, Tuesday?
Yes.
Yeah, it's tough. I'm always like, I gotta say the actual date when we're doing this because people might not be watching this live.
That's
right?
true.
So yeah, Tuesday. Check out the spotlight video. The devs kind of go over exactly what they think Blaze should be, that kind of like zone control range tank, which is kind of cool. He's got a big range too, 4.5, which is the same as, I believe, like Cassia has a range of 4.5.
Right.
I believe Tychus has a 4.5 range as well, or somewhere around there anyways. So he's got a bit of a range on him. Check out the video. The link's in there, but you can also Google it. I'm sure find it pretty easily. We also had an in development video drop too. So not only do we see Blaze and his new skins that are coming out, that are also incidentally live in the PTR as well, the Fell Reaver skin that he's got, but we also saw some new skins too. Did you guys get a chance to see any of those?
You mean all the mecha skins?
Is that
Yep.
is that excitement? Because it sounds a lot like your excitement
Yes.
off the top of the show for
I mean,
Blaze.
I don't play Abathur, and so that's the only one I'm not gonna get. But I will be. I was like going back and forth on Rhaegar.
So what skins do we get? You want to tell us the skins we got there, LiQuiud?
All right, so I'm hyped about Fel Reaver Blaze. Honestly, Blaze in a Fel Reaver skin is pretty sick. So is Mechaterial, and you know what did it? Okay, so then we also get Xenotech Abathur, which is basically Mecha Abathur, and Mecha Rhaegar. But you know what did it for me was the Hearth animation of Mecha Rhaegar stepping up into the like big ass Gundam wing thing and then like shooting into the air. So I was like, okay, I guess I have to get.
You mean
Mecha
Tyrael?
Rhaegar.
Or
No,
Rhaegar
did that. Tyrael didn't do that. That was the thing. See, now I'm like, now you got me.
No, Tyrael.
Hold on.
Tyrael was the one that launched all of his like wings in the air and it connected onto his back.
Yeah, which was cool, right?
The boosters.
Right. But that was the boosters. But like, hold on, I'm trying. Oh my, I clicked the wrong notes. No. See, Daz, this is the point where we need to have the extra video square, so we can be like running this. Hold on, let me just get to the end real quick. No. So yeah. So Tyrael's is cool, right? Because it's all his wings turn into the like jetpack, right? But then Mecha Rhaegar gets into this like an elevator comes out of nowhere and he steps up into it all mecha like and it shoots down into the ground. So yeah, they're both awesome. I will be buying both of those plus the Blaze skins. Don't care about Abathur.
Did it show what Mecha Rhaegar looks like in wolf form on the video? I don't recall that.
It did not, but one of the Blizzard employees tweeted it to Artemis after she was like, where is the... Or somebody did. It might not have been a Blizzard employer, but somebody tweeted it to Artemis Howe last night.
I'll have to check that out. You can always put the link in the show notes.
She retweeted it. Yep.
That'd be pretty cool to see too, because I didn't even think about it, but I was wondering what his mech form looked like when he's in wolf form.
It looks like a how do I describe this?
A mecha wolf?
A Voltron dog. No, like a
cool.
Voltron dog.
That's pretty cool.
But like wolfish, more wolfish, right? Because Voltron was obviously lions, right? So it was wolf-like, but it was a Voltron Rhaegar. It was really sick looking.
Which begs the question: where's Tyrael's mount where he can just fly?
Yes, it does. I have no idea, but yes.
And what about apparently Reddit's going crazy too, because the Fel Reaver Blaze doesn't have any green flames too.
It does not have the green flames. I'm buying it anyway because it looks sick, but it does not have any.
Like I haven't even gotten past level 20 in WoW before, and I know Fel Reaver should have like green stuff flying all over the place.
Yeah, yes, it should. But yes.
Cool. So if you're looking forward to some new skins, you can check out the in development video, and hopefully we'll have the link for the tweet that shows Rhaegar's new mecha wolf form in the show notes as well. We also have a PTR patch that as I mentioned before, went live on Tuesday. With basically the only things that came out of that is that Blaze is now live on the PTR as well as a Malfurion rework. So we'll be going over the PTR patch in depth very shortly. But first, we're also going to talk about the Brawl Trial Grounds. You guys get a chance to play this? I should have asked you before off camera, because I know we rarely ever cover Brawls, and I know you guys don't play it very often. It's kind of a cool one, though. It's a 5v5 in like a very small like custom map, actually. It's almost like you're on like a bit of a space station platform, and it's ARAM kind of, because it's the ARAM mode where everyone gets the same heroes no matter what. So you're gonna have always 5v5 something. I had 5v5 Monk, I had 5v5 Medivh. We had 5v5 Tastar before too. It gets kind of crazy, and then the way that it works is there's an objective that spawns in the middle, and that gives you like a large bonus to whoever gets it. So like it might be like a curse, and then if you get the curse, the whole other team goes down to like next to no health, maybe 1 health, maybe 100 health or something like that. But it's kind of cool. I thought it was a neat way to have a different kind of Brawl in there, and it made me play the Brawl 3 times for the loot box and feel like it was worth it and well worth it. So if you haven't had a chance yet, definitely jump on. It's going to change on Friday, so make sure that you got a chance to play Trial Grounds. So LiQuiud, we've got some other news, but it falls under the esports category, so you know what time it is then, do you? I do.
It's
time for LiQuiud's Esports Corner.
Hey, yo, how you doing? It's time for LiQuiud's Esports Corner. That's right. You're gonna want to stick around for this.
Take away, LiQuiud.
All right, so only a couple of small things to go over. The first of which was we woke up to some interesting news Monday, January 1st, and that was Roll20 and Team Expert, both sets of players have parted way with their organizations. Trent actually did a live esport. I'm a mess. Trent did a live show on Monday where we went over, I say we because I was producing it for him, but where he went over all of this with chat and with Reddit, explaining that really what happened is they couldn't come to an agreement on terms. So since it was the first of the year, that was the contracts for both those teams ended on December 31st. Both teams announced on the 1st saying we're no longer working with these organizations as they look for new organizations instead or go it alone for now. I strongly suggest if you have questions or don't understand why they did that, watch the video. It's up on our YouTube channel. It was really good. It's a little repetitive because people kept coming into chat and asking the same question again later, but definitely check it out. It's worth watching. And then go ahead.
I was going to say that. So as entry-level esports, his most recent episode that LiQuiud's talking about, you can find it on our site,
yes.
trolls.gg. Roll20, I read their blog post about it. It sounds pretty promising that they're going to come back into the sport. It's not like they're like leaving HGC.
Right.
They just wanted a different kind of setup where they had more team control.
Yeah, so the way I would look at it, if you think about it, right, Trent's biggest point was nobody knows what that spot is worth. So if Roll20 owns the spot now, they get it for whatever the team and Roll20, the organization, negotiated. The players themselves don't know what the spot's worth, so it's hard to negotiate how much you're going to pay me for this spot because nobody really knows, right? The organization definitely wants to get back into HOTS. The players want to have an organization, but they wanted certain things, and we don't necessarily know what it was that they wanted. We just know they couldn't come to an agreement.
Yeah, well, so what are you going to do with all these Roll20 jerseys? Hold on to them, I guess, for the time being?
So I actually didn't buy a jersey. I don't buy the jerseys. I'm weird like that. But my wife has her jersey, and it's just going to get put away. I'm a little bummed that now I got all those. I bought all the Roll20 stuff with the bits, or with cheering bits. And so I'm kind of bummed there, but it's all good. It is what it is.
I'm kind of bummed that I never got the Cloud9 stuff back when you could get that, though. So
the mount?
Yeah.
I have that.
Well,
yeah, that's
so
a pretty
it's
sick
kind of
mount.
cool. Like if they never do come back, you'll still have the Roll20 stuff, which will kind of be needed. It's a little bit of like a throwback to like the heyday when they were in the game. But like I said, it sounds like they're coming back, whereas something like Cloud9 may never come back from what they've said. So
Right.
So is something changing with the map pool for this year?
Yes. So the HGC 2018 Phase 1 map pool was just announced like an hour ago, I think. Really, the only change is Warhead Junction is out and Volskaya Foundry is in. So rip 6-minute games, which I kind of will miss. And nobody will ever touch Roll20's record. I guess on the plus side, nobody will ever touch Roll20's record for that map. Right? I mean, the map's gone, and there's no other way you're getting that fast of a game on any other map unless somebody's just like, yeah, we're going to let you just walk right through. Have a nice day. So
how do you think Volskaya is going to be like approached by esports teams? Do you think they're just going to ban it or like never pick it? Or is it the kind of thing where we're going to start seeing some play on Volskaya Foundry from the competitive scene?
I don't know. Jhow on Twitter had said, let's see if I can find that real quick. He was excited because we'll see, what happens in competitive with that map. It'll be interesting to see what happens. Honestly, I don't know.
Well, I guess we'll find out in a few short weeks too, because doesn't the HGC start soon?
January 19th.
Ooh, just around the corner. Start getting our esports fix. And I guess Trolling HGC is going to be ramping up quite a bit over the next few weeks too, right?
Yeah, our next 2 weeks are going to be an NA and an EU preview, and we're just working out which episode is going to be when and who the guest is going to be.
Cool.
So
stay tuned. You can follow LiQuiud at LiQuiudGG, or I'm sure at TrollsGG as well, to find out more information on who those guests are going to be when they're announced.
Yep.
All right. Anything more from the esports side of things you want to talk about, LiQuiud, today?
No, man, it's been really quiet. It's kind of
The calm before the storm.
Yeah, I don't want to say it's frustrating either, because it's not really frustrating. It just is what it is, right? The 2 weeks, people have taken a lot of time off, which totally makes sense. And then, you know, they're like, Blizzard is like trickling information out. That is pretty frustrating about what phase 1's going to look like. We don't even have dates for tournaments or where the tournaments are going to be. Like, I'm hoping that there's a tournament playing in Anaheim, but nobody knows. So, like, if there was, I'd want to book my travel and stuff now instead of waiting.
Everyone's just getting back from holidays. They're nursing their hangovers from New Year's Eve.
Listen, man.
It's just this is naturally a slower time of year. Just give it a week, and I'm sure the stuff will start coming out.
So here's my problem. Like, first, yes, I agree with that. But second, like, just release all the information at once. You don't have to, like, do this little, we're going to trickle a little bit out. We're going to, oh, here's the organization announcement. Oh, here's the map announcement. Oh, yeah, no, man, that's just release it at once and let us pour over it while you're gone for the 2 weeks.
Do you think they know yet, though?
Oh, I know they know. Why? Okay. All right. So let's consider for a moment. If you ignore what happened with Creators of the Storm, I'm not going to use that. But if you consider for a moment that I know for a fact certain teams were planning on boot camping the week of the 15th through the 19th, taking that weekend off, and then 26th was supposed to be day one of HGC, and all of a sudden it's the 19th. They did that for a reason, and if they did that for a reason, they know the dates and they know where everything's going to land, right? Like, that's the whole point. Oh, we messed up our schedule. We have to fix our schedule. We're going to do this because that lines up with, let's say, IEM in Katowice, right? And you got to be there for your first Western Clash, and you got to be, or mid-season brawl, or whatever, like, you know. So all of that stacks up to give you this. These are the dates we have to do. So 100%, I think they know. I think they're just not releasing it.
Well, 100%, I know how to make LiQuiud mad.
What's that, Daz?
Well, just what we're talking about. Withhold information when you know that you
withhold it. It drives me nuts, dude. So bad. Okay. Oh my god, my wife loves to do that to me too. But like, here's the thing.
What time's dinner tonight, honey? Well, you're just got to wait and find out, LiQuiud.
Yeah, that stuff drives me up the wall. But like, I don't know. I guess they could have a reason why. But my thing is, people like me want to try and travel to events. If I want to travel to the event, I need to know when the event is. If it's not going to be on the East Coast, which we all know there's never going to be an esports event with heroes on the East Coast for a long-ass time, I need to be able to plan correctly. So the earlier I can find out, the easier it is for me to try and plan to make it out to the West Coast for an event. To the point where, like, I would even consider going to Poland to see IEM. I need to know, like, when and where the events are so I can try to plan those things. And I can't do that because they're not releasing the information.
Well, fingers crossed we'll find out. Maybe they're just dotting their I's and crossing their T's before announcing the dates and times. But we will. I can tell, like, LiQuiud's got a lot more to say about it.
Oh no! See, so now you open. Okay, so let's ignore
I opened the can. Did I open a can, Worms?
You opened the can.
I was trying to like close the can and move along.
Dude, you were so close, and then you opened it.
I just gave a little
It's
crack.
open now, man.
Crap.
It's open now.
I'll be back.
So
in a few
all right.
minutes.
So let's ignore. No. This is for you, buddy. Let's ignore dates and times. Okay, maybe they're crossing their T's and dotting their I's for dates and times. Okay, I can understand that. All right. There's a lot involved in doing an international tournament. I totally get that. Here's my problem. That may be the case, but why have you not released the rules? There's no reason you couldn't have released the 2018 Phase 1 rules.
Yeah, well, I mean, just in general, with one thing that's always bugged me about HGC is that it isn't as straightforward as I feel like it could be, and things like you're mentioning, like some of the rule sets and stuff aren't as easy to get access to. I feel like not even all the players know all the rules in certain situations as well. It would be nice if it was a little bit clearer and there was a little bit more transparency. I'm hoping this will come with, like, you know, evolution of the sport in terms of when it becomes more mature, and it feels like it is getting to a mature spot. And I feel like we already had a full year of HGC that they've probably learned from a lot of their mistakes, and hopefully they'll correct them this year. But hey, I guess it hasn't started yet. I remember last year around this time too, their website was atrocious. I mean, it still isn't the greatest, but I remember right before HGC started, they revamped it. So maybe we're going to get something similar this year too. There's going to be a revamp of the website. Maybe we'll get some more information and clarity going forward.
And I think what's interesting, like the 2017 rules were released a lot earlier. So I don't know. Maybe I'm remembering wrong, but I feel like we knew about now what the 2017 rules were going to look like. And we still don't have those, which is kind of frustrating.
Well, hopefully we'll find out in the coming weeks, but let's move along anyway.
Wait,
I
have one last thing. It's easy though. This is a quick one. I promise. Team 12 just tweeted out they're looking for an analyst.
Oh, cool.
We have a resident person who can analyze games sitting right next to it. Well, right next to me, across from you. I just think maybe Mystic, you might want to think about that. Just throwing that out there.
Hey, maybe we'll get people to start tweeting at them, suggesting Mystic, right?
I mean, it's a Google Doc, and like I've talked to a number of coaches and analysts, and what they've said about getting themselves started was they just applied and saw how it would work out. So just throwing that out there, man. Maybe you want to do that, or maybe one of our listeners wants to do that.
Mystic for analyst. I'd support that for sure.
Right? I know. I'm saying.
If only at the time.
Well, that might be a problem. I don't know your schedule.
Oh hell, you'd quit school for that, right?
Oh yeah.
I'm sure the parents would love that one. That's the kind of thing usually goes over well with mom and dad, eh? Yeah, I've quit school to become an analyst for an esports organization.
I'm sure they'll
What is
love
the
that.
Esports? So like football? You're like, no. That's not how it works, Mom. Okay, let's move along. Let's talk about the PTR patch. So I'm sure that's what probably a lot of people want to hear about today. We'll go over our first impressions on Blaze, because he's the new hotness. We've had some different varying levels of time playing him.
The new hotness.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? I didn't even mean to do that, but he is the new hotness. We've had varying levels of playtime with him. We're going to go into a deeper dive on him next week, but we're going to do some first impressions to go over his kit today. So let's go over his kit first. His trait is called Pyromania. By the way, if you didn't catch last week's episode, me and Mystic tried to like theory craft some of it, and some of it was actually pretty close to what we theory crafted to. And Mystic said there was a couple of things that he thought about theory crafting, and he was going to put in there, but he thought Blizzard would never do it in a million years. It turns out they did. Mystic can jump in and tell us about that when we get to the relevant portions of his kit. But starting with Pyromania, it's his trait. It's actually an activatable trait, and the first time I played him, I totally forgot about it. So make sure you remember you've got an activatable trait, because you gain 25 armor. You also deal damage to enemies over time for about 4 seconds, like periodic damage. And each hero hit by the flame stream actually reduces Pyromania's cooldown by 5 seconds. So I think it's on, I can't remember the cooldown on it, but it's a pretty significantly long cooldown, maybe like 90 seconds. So you can actually reduce it quite a bit by hitting heroes with flame stream. Flame stream is his Q. Instantly enough, it's on a 4-second cooldown, so it's very spammable. You fire 2 streams of flame that deal 83 damage to enemies hit. Flame streams set fire to oil spills that they come in contact with, which is his next ability. Flame stream is actually pretty close to what both me and Mystic came up with last week, except that we think we both call it Flame On. So Blizzard's got problems with their naming department, but that's okay. We'll let that slide. Oil spill on his W.
Wait, I don't think they have the problem. Calling it Flame On brings you in direct competition with Marvel, and I don't think that's a fight they want to do.
Doesn't he say Flame On though?
He does. So what are you gonna call your ability Flame On? And he's
wait,
shooting fire out of his arms.
We
Flame
called
on!
it Fire It Up.
No.
All right.
Oh,
That was
fire-
it.
fire it up.
Direct
Fire it up. I'm okay with. Fire it up.
My
I'm
bad.
okay
That's
with.
what we call it, right? Right, Mystic was Fire It Up. It wasn't Flame
yeah.
On. See, like I'm just mixing my universes here. It was Fire It Up. Give me a bit of a break. I'm too old. My memory's got lots of holes in it. I shaved my head just last week too, so maybe I chunked off a few pieces of brain with it. Okay, so next ability is Oil Spill. 12-second cooldown, 2 charges. You actually use it with vector targeting too, because you make a little path of where the oil spill is going to be. You dispense a slick of oil, lasts for 5 seconds on the ground, and it slows enemies that it comes in contact with by 40%. So Flame Stream, your Q, can actually set oil spill on fire for 2.5 seconds, dealing damage, like small damage that ticks frequently, to the enemies who are standing on it. While on fire, oil spill no longer slows enemies. So just make sure you mental note that, because it just changes its damage. But also, Blaze gets healed for 49 health every 0.3 seconds when standing in flaming oil spills. And like I said before, it sources up to 2 charges, so you can get some self-sustain from this, which is kind of a cool mechanic. His E is Jet Propulsion. This is his Engage, his Peel, his Escape. It's 12-second cooldown. After half a second, he'll charge forward, colliding with the first enemy hero hit, dealing a small amount of damage to them and nearby enemy heroes. Enemies hit are also stunned for 1.25 seconds. It really reminds me of like Shadow Charge from Diablo, except you don't have to target someone. You just do it in a direction, which is great because you can use it as an escape. You don't need a target for it, but you charge towards something and you stun it. You don't have to hit anything against a wall, but you just stun it as soon as you impact it. But it's also an AoE stun for anything in around the radius of the person you hit too. 2 ultimates, Bunker Drop, 40-second cooldown. After half a second, deploy and enter a bunker that has 1,300 health. Blaze and his allies can enter and exit the bunker at will. While in the bunker, occupants gain access to Flamethrower, dealing decent damage to enemies in a line. Exiting the bunker grants 25 armor for 2 seconds. Bunker lasts for 10 seconds or until it is destroyed. And Combustion is his second ultimate, 80-second cooldown. You can channel Combustion. This kind of reminds me of, is it Cho or Gull? Cho that has got the channeled big ability where it's like a big circle around. I think it's Cho, right?
Yeah.
So you channel it for up to 2.6 seconds. Once the channeling ends, nearby enemies are like kind of ignited and slowed for 60% and take a small amount of damage for the duration of that slow. So the slow and damage over time durations are extended the longer you channel. It starts at 1 second and it goes up to 5 seconds if you channel for the full duration. But your movement speed is reduced by 50% while channeling, so you're moving hella slow. Okay, so that's his kit.
Hella slow.
Thank you, LiQuiud, for serenading us with your siren-like voice. So, yeah, what do you guys think of Blaze? I mean, you both had some play experience with him. What are your thoughts? LiQuid, you're a tank. You like?
I've only played with him in play mode because I didn't have time yesterday, and today I've only gotten 2. I need one more win to buy him so that I can actually play with it, because I would spend money on PTR. I don't mind doing that, but they won't let me, so I have to play games to do it. But I like him in try mode. In try mode, he's a lot of fun. I can't wait to actually play him. I'm looking forward to having all of his skins. Bunker is interesting to me. I think the problem with bunker mode is it's too easy to like counter. Like, hi guys, we're gonna all sit in this building. I think there's some uses for it, and I'm not gonna spoil Mystic's idea because I think it's a great idea. But I feel like it also is like, oh, we're gonna come out of this thing. So if you time your VP right or other things, you'll catch us.
Yeah, one thing that disappointed me actually with his bunker drop is that it can't capture points. I thought this was going to be an amazing thing. Like, you capture the boss, you throw it in a bunker, you'll hop in, and you got that extra defense on that point, or even a capture point too, right? Like, you go in there, it's the same effect as like being mod or whatever. For you're basically in stasis during that period. I mean, you can fight back and stuff, but you're not on the point. So,
but isn't the bunker larger than the point anyway? So you might not be on the point, but neither are the enemy team?
No, they can move in.
Slightly smaller than the point itself. Is like if you center it.
You're hoping you can like holy ground it. Is that kind of what you're thinking?
Yeah. Holy ground it. Yeah. Yes, exactly.
Not quite. Just delaying the inevitable, but it is a little bit smaller.
Well, no, but you have no but there's an advantage, right? Zool pops his Nova. You bunker in. They can't take the point. Everybody's cleaned of poison, 25 armor for 2 seconds, come out like bats out of hell and try to wipe the other team, right? So, but if they can get on the point, then it's kind of a moot point.
Yeah, because it does it does cleanse things, and it'd be interesting to see like what it does in certain situations. Like what happens if there's like a pyroblast coming on you, hopping in the bunker.
Right.
Does that mean the pyroblast disappears, or does it hit the bunker? Like I don't know. Either way, you'd assume it protects you somewhat. But I mean, we mentioned before, Mystic's got some ideas of how you could use bunker drop. I think it's a horrible ultimate because I felt like there was nothing you can do with it. Like what are you gonna do? You're just delaying the inevitable. It's like a group ice block.
But dude, like combustion's really any better. But anyway, go ahead,
Mystic.
Okay, bunker drop was actually an ultimate for Blaze that I was contemplating, putting into my kit last week.
Well, I'm sure yours would have been better than Blizzard's.
Oh,
I don't know. Like, I feel like they did okay with this one. So I didn't do that because I was like, Blizzard, I don't know. I don't think they would do something like that, right? But they did. Here's bunker drop. So bunker drop, it lasts for 10 seconds and has like pretty good health. It's not like a large amount, but it's not like you kill it in one hit amount, right? And then so I think it's actually really good for peel tool and a cleanse tool, right? It's basically a self-cleanse for anybody who needs it, and unless you're stunned. It cleanse silences, it cleanse poison. You just walk into the bunker, you walk out, cleansed. And if you just pop it down, get out, like if you're Blaze, right? You pop down, get out, and then, do your frontline roll or whatever. You don't need to stay in the bunker, you use your abilities. The bunker's just back there for your backline in case Valyria shows up and goes, haha, I silenced your support. Oh, wait. Your support just entered the bunker, and now the silence is cleansed, and I'm in a vulnerable-ish position. Well, it looks like I gotta get out of here, So Illidan, using Hunt, drop down the bunker, get in the bunker. Well, he probably stunned the bunker if, it hits the bunker anyway. So he's like...
Butcher, same way.
Yeah, Butcher, he's charging you, pop down the bunker. Butcher's like, I'm next to a bunker that I can't one-shot, and silence doesn't work here, so... I guess I better get out of here. It's like, it's a really, really good peel tool for like a lot of engages. And it's only on a 40-second cooldown, which is actually quite amazing. Hey, freaking, are you Blaze and your team, including yourself, is caught in a VP? Well, if they don't time it like super correctly, like the instant, VP APOC or something, pop down the bunker, you're safe from all the stuns because you can't get CC'd while you're in the bunker.
Yep.
I think it's actually really good for stuff like that, like cleansing CC, ignoring like, let's just say a Gazlo Gravo bomb. It's like, oh, you see it coming, put down the bunker, people walk into the bunker, people have to walk in the bunker.
And they sit there and they flamethrower out while they're sitting there.
Yeah, exactly. And the bunker's not going to get one shot unless, they all focus it down. But so the thing about it, though, is like you have to get out as soon as it's over or the bunker's almost dead, or else, you're all clustered up for all the AoE, so, downsides.
Sounds like you're trying to, like, take this with rose-colored glasses here. I feel like it's still going to be difficult to time things like that. Like, I mean, maybe it's just because you're a much more skilled player than I am, but I can't see that level of coordination where someone's going to drop down the bunker and, like, everyone's going to jump in to avoid that Gravo bomb or whatever the AoE, like, kind of effect or dive that's coming on them is you're gonna be able to react fast enough to that unless it's down
early on.
Unless it's down like well in advance. I think it's going to be a difficult thing to do. So, and then the other team's gonna see that
early on. I agree early on, just because like when Blaze is released, nobody's gonna know how to use a bunker. Like in League of Legends, there's a champion called Thresh. He'd throw out a lantern. It was basically like a life hoop. You right click it and it pulls you to Thresh, and it's basically like a free dash, right?
A life hoop.
Yeah, I feel like this is very similar.
Okay. Even worse naming conventions over in League of Legends.
I like that. No, I like that. But all right. So I just realized two things, right? One, we should see him Tuesday, given Blizzard's history of things, which means the Malfurion changes will be allowed in the first week of HGC. The second thing I realized is that means Blaze should be available on my birthday, which is the second week of HGC. So I should see some pros play with Blaze. Justin, I'm looking at you, man. I want to see this for my birthday, buddy. You got to help me out. You and Ishbu. I know you guys can help me out with this. Maybe even Lobber. Come on, man. One of you three, hook me up on the 26th with a Blaze game.
This leads us into the next point pretty well. Do you think he's HGC worthy LiQuiD, or do you think he's like solo tankish? Is he gonna have a role to play here?
100% he's getting playtime. 100%. First, though, Saffron, thank you for the resub. Second, 100% this dude is HGC worthy. It'll be interesting to see whether solo tank, whether I think he is actually capable of solo tanking, but it's going to be specific comps like other things. I think he can solo lane. I think this is probably one of my, without Reinhardt being released, this is my next favorite new tank feel. Like, I really, really want Reinhardt, but this is kind of awesome.
His
I had a lot of
jetpack
fun
is
with it.
basically like a charge, right?
Right.
Reinhardt.
It's very, very similar. Like, there's a lot of similar things. I still would rather have, I would like to have Reinhardt in addition. I don't think there's enough overlap that would be a problem. It's not like Stitch's Roadhog. So I think you could still get away with Reinhardt in the game. But yeah, totally, he's HCC worthy. Now, having said that, I do expect there might be a certain amount of nerf bat coming his way. Maybe not. We'll see. I hope not. I don't think he needs it. But you know what I'm expected is here's what I'm expecting. He'll get released, and magically in the patch notes on release day, Valier will get nerf batted with him being released, which will make everybody who loves Valier like I do cry at once, like the sound of a million people dying on a moon. I totally got that quote wrong, and I apologize to the Star Wars fans out there. I was going for it, but then I realized I don't remember it well enough to do it. And then I think he'll get nerfed maybe a week later, because I think there is a lot of potential for him to totally screw up pub leagues and like just mess people up because they don't know what they're doing.
He does seem to output actually somewhat decent damage, and I think that would probably be where they'll rein it in. But in terms of tanking, he does check off a lot of the boxes that you want to see in a solo tank, right? He's got
absolutely
peel, engage, he's got good survivability, he's got a lot of health. Apparently he's got just a little bit less health than Muradin, or maybe a little bit more. Anyways,
no, he's over. He's more health than
Muradin. Like one of the hardest tanks to kill. Not only that, he can provide his own armor. He's got his own self-sustain with his heal and his oil slicks. He's got zone control with his oil.
Everything about him is awesome.
Yeah,
I'm really excited about him. Like I said, I like Reinhardt's the only I was concerned with how it was gonna come out, just based on Firebat and then he's a tank, and I was like, wait, what do you mean he's a tank? Like, what?
His wave clear is okay too, right? So
his wave clear is great.
Yeah, he definitely seems like he's checking all the boxes you need to check for a solo tank. Not only that, but like as a solo laner too, right? Like he's got a lot of the things you're looking for there, like with somewhat decent wave clear. He's got the survivability too, and the high health pool to sustain in lane against most other solo laners. Is he going to be one of the top solo laners coming out of this as well? What do you guys think?
So that's the problem. First of all, yes, I think he's a great solo laner. But the problem that I'm going to bring up is what people are going to struggle with. Your main tank shouldn't be your solo laner. Like, don't do that. Please don't do that. You know what I mean? Like he can solo lane, but I feel like he's actually better off in the group.
Well, is there anything wrong with having two tanks that are capable of solo tanking? Because if he has okay damage, right, and you pair him with even like an Arthas or something too, who can like output some decent damage and do solo lane on his own as well, you can have a little bit of flexibility on who takes the solo lane.
Right. Or you can even swap back and forth depending on how the matchup's going. Like, there's things you can do,
It feels like it just lends for more flexibility in your drafts, because you're like, okay, well, we've got our tank and our solo laner, but we can still pick a different solo laner later if we want to, after we see what the matchup would be. You know, if they say if they pick their Sony or Dahaka, I'd be like, okay, now we know who he's going against. We can pick someone else to counter that and still have our solo tank in like the rotation with the other guys.
Right.
Yeah. So hopefully we'll be finding out, once he hits live how he is, because it's really tough. Even in the PTR, like we did have 4 or 5 games with him, like when we were playing yesterday, but a lot of them were stomps. Like there's no matchmaking, and a couple of the guys on our team were pretty high level, so it just didn't feel like we could get a good feel for it. There's a couple of games that were even there, but still, he did seem pretty powerful. Do you guys think he's gonna? What are the predictions here? He's gonna come out with a pretty high win rate, assuming he doesn't get touched from what he's doing currently, or do you think he's gonna be, well balanced, maybe underpowered? What do you think, Mystic?
I think he'll come out with a 54-56.
Ooh, that's pretty healthy win rate. How about you, LiQuid? What do you think?
I think that's about right. I think my one concern besides him being nerfed is I feel like he's kind of the design. If you imagine that Varian has an easier time transitioning between the 3 specs and doesn't have to wait till 10, but is like he's almost, I don't want to say he's multi-class because he's not multi-class, but he's like almost versatile enough that you can take him a lot of ways. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and then that's always great to see in your talent tree too, right? And I mean, next week I feel like we're going to be talking about builds and build potential, and hopefully we'll be seeing people with more like pros or high level players see more gameplay with Blaze in their hands, so we'll know a bit better about exactly like where his strengths are for sure. But at this point in the game, it does seem like he's actually in a really good place. I feel like a lot of heroes, when they're released, at least from my usual perspective, is that they end up being under-tuned, whereas I think Blaze is, if nothing else, over-tuned, and it sounds like we're all echoing that sentiment here today. Okay, well, we'll leave Blaze discussion for next week as well, since we've talked about him initially, but we want to talk a bit more in depth after we've had more play time with him. There's a couple other things in the patch that did drop as well for the PTR patch. Battlefield of Eternity, just a small couple points here. Battlefield of Eternity will now show the initial immortal spawn between objectives, but it won't show the location in advance of the swap, like after he goes below 50%. So you'll know where they start initially, but you won't get like a preview where he's going to stop while he's doing his little dance to get to his secondary location. Johanna had a change too. She can't be targeted or take damage while initially casting Falling Sword. If you're taking Falling Sword, you're playing Johanna wrong, so we don't even need to bother talking about it.
Whoa. Hold on, buddy.
It's a horrible ultimate. You take Falling Sword? Why do you take Falling Sword? Tell me. Convince me that that's a good ultimate. Because I think Blessed Shield is better 100% of the time. 100% of the time.
No. Do you ever take Judgment?
As Tyrael, yeah.
Then your argument is no longer valid.
Why? Because you float up in the air, like
it's the same thing. It's literally the same thing.
It's a lot harder to hit because Judgment's a guaranteed hit on whatever target.
Okay, wait, hold on, wait. All right, so get good. I mean,
no. Blessed Shield is a great. Johanna doesn't have a great engage, and I don't think it's a very good engage at all. I think Blessed Shield's a much better engage. You get that nice AOE stun. It's a lot easier to hit, in my opinion, too. And I think it's just a lot superior for like many reasons too. The tank doesn't leave the field for whatever it is 3 seconds while she jumps into the air, gives access to the back line there. I mean, you can use it as an escape, I guess, but that's probably the only benefit to it. You can also use Blessed Shield as an escape if you're really in trouble. I don't know, Mystic. What you want to weigh in here? Who's right? By the way, it's me.
Josh is right.
What's your pick rate? What's your pick rate for Blessed Shield over Falling Sword? This isn't even a debate. How are we talking about it?
Wait, all right. So
there's an answer to this question, and I told you what it is.
It's not. No, because you're not right. All right. So hold on. Listen. I'm not saying that Blessed Shield shouldn't be the go-to like 99% of the time, okay? That's totally not what I just said. I said that it's like not, you make it out to be this horrible, horrible thing. It's not.
It is.
No. Oh, wait, what?
I want your Mystic's opinion. So maybe you guys can convince me otherwise, but I hate that talent. What do you think, Mystic?
All right, let me ask you this. If I were to tell you, if I was to ask you, what do you think the win rate on Falling Sword compared to Blessed Shield is, what would you say?
I'd say don't look at statistics on hot slugs because those are probably.
I'm not using hot slugs. I'm using one of the HOTS API sites.
I'd assume that it's better for Blessed Shield, but I have a funny feeling that you're just setting me up for a trap right now.
It's 50.1 Falling Sword, 50.3 Blessed Shield. So now I recognize the pick rate is, the pick rate. Oh no, don't. So this one's better. Hot status.
Sure. Okay. So the win rate's similar, but pick rate is very different, which means it might be more of a niche pick as well. I still want to hear Mystic's opinion on
That's
this.
all I'm saying. I'm saying there is a niche where it works.
Mystic, what's your opinion?
Okay, well, my opinion on it is that Blessed Shield is better, like,
all the time.
Most of the time.
All the time?
Falling Sword is only used, in my opinion, when you can afford to. You have to do it first. You can't, like, the enemy can't engage on you. It's an only you engage on them tool, in my opinion. So you use it to engage. That slows everybody, and then that's when you run back to your team and help peel and tank. Other than that, if they engage on you, I mean, you could use it to jump away, like if you're about to die, sure. But, like, usually you can't really use it in that situation when they engage on you because you have to tank. So mostly I use Blessed Shield.
Wouldn't you prefer to have Blessed Shield for the engage, though, over Falling Sword? Because you still, it's a fairly long-ranged AoE stun that bounces between, so as long as you hit it properly, right? Like, I feel like it does more or less the same thing.
I usually use Blessed Shield because it's faster, and they usually have, or the enemy usually has targets with a lot of mobility. Now, Falling Sword can't hit targets with a lot of mobility. If they have a lot of melee with low mobility, Falling Sword is actually really good because they, since they're all melee and they don't have that much mobility, you can hit them more reliably, and the slow is fairly strong. But since the meta, there's a lot of mobility creep and stuff like that, you usually use Blessed Shield.
Okay, you heard it here. Mystic hates Falling Sword. Blessed Shield's the way to go.
Whoa, hold on. That is not what he said. That is not. You cannot be putting words in people's mouths, man.
I know.
What?
I'm just having fun. It's one of the things it's one of those things in the game that just drives me crazy when people take Falling Sword for some reason. No, okay. I'm obviously being pretty harsh on the talent. There obviously is a niche use for it, and it's not bad in every situation. I'm overstating my stance on it just for more entertainment value than anything. But still, it does.
Well, I mean, I'm in the same boat, right? Yeah. Like when I play Johanna, 99% of the time it's Blessed Shield, but there are times where it's okay to go with the Blessed Sword, or I mean Falling Sword, and like do the damage. It's usually when you're winning anyway, right? It's usually when you're win mooring.
Yeah, it doesn't change my opinion on it too much, but I can see there's a use for it, and different play styles like different things. And I'm not a super high level player. I just my comfort zone going with Blessed Shield. So, anyways, let's move along because I feel like we're in a rut with this Johanna conversation. Because what we really need to talk about is Malfurion change, and I'll probably ruffle a few feathers here too because I definitely don't like it either.
Folks.
I feel like this is gonna be a controversial episode, at least for my opinions. Anyways, we'll go over his changes and we'll talk about it as we go. Little spoiler, I don't like them. His basic attack damage was reduced by 6%. Regrowth is Q, the mana cost was reduced, no longer has an initial heal, so there's absolutely no burst heal out of it at all. The heal per tick was decreased from 27 to 20, so significantly as well. However, the heal duration was increased from 15 seconds to 20 seconds, so essentially you're about heal over time neutral there. I think it's been reduced technically by 1% if you do the math. Moonfire, his W, mana cost was reduced from 15 to 10, so significant mana cost reduction. The damage was reduced by 10%. But, and this is where you finally get a little bit of, I guess, a buff, if you want to call everything else I've talked about so far a nerf. Every hero hit with Moonfire instantly heals the targets with an active regrowth on them for 140. So it's a fairly decent heal, especially considering that W is very spammable. Entangling Roots had a change to, no longer affects non-heroic targets, so you can only use it on heroes. Tranquility is still bad. It got its duration reduced from 10 to 8 seconds. Its cooldown was reduced from 100 to 80 seconds. Mana cost reduced from 180. and all heroes within the active regrowth with an active regrowth on them will gain 10 armor while they're in the Tranquility's range. So not a huge buff to Tranquility there, or if you want to even call it a buff, because it's only duration of 8 seconds now instead of 10. So Tranquility's still bad. Take Twilight Dream. You guys can feel free to argue with me about that if you like.
Wait, what? All right, never mind. No, you're right. I had it backwards in my head. I'm like, why is he telling people to what? But you're
Tranquility.
You're right.
I think. Tell me that there's a reason to take Tranquility. I guess maybe if you need the extra heals.
You're in Bronze League.
A little bit extra heals. Mystic said he took Tranquility last time he played Malfurion with this change in the PTR, though, right, Mystic? I guess there can be, if you're really hurting for extra heals and you don't need that amazingness of Twilight Dream, then I guess Tranquility can be.
I'm gonna say like Twilight Dream is still like amazing. The reason that I took Tranquility is because I was playing on PTR for one, and for two, Blaze is in the game and he does a lot of AoE damage. So with a lot of Blazes running around, Tranquility actually gets quite a bit of value just for that reason.
Yeah, I was talking to some of our listeners when we were playing the PTR, and we're saying, Tranquility is still like not strong, but you could change it to like maybe it gives everyone a cast of regrowth or something while they're standing in it, or more armor, or even more healing output or something. It just seems like it's still very lackluster. Tranquility used to be picked because it was a big amount of healing, but the healing has been reduced, many times over the years to the point where it just doesn't seem to do very much. So that's always been the issue for my side of things. So what are you guys' thoughts on Malfurion before I start going off on a tangent here? Or not a tangent, but before I start going off on him. What do you think, Mystic?
I think he really needs some sort of like quality of life thing where there's like a little leaf or something above the people's heads that you have regrowth on now, because it's such a long duration. And I mean, like, if you can count to 20 in your head, it's like
they do have a little leaf on their heads. When you cast it, there's a little leaf that literally goes above their heads. So exactly what you're asking for actually exists. The one thing that it doesn't have, though, that does kind of annoy me, is the leaf just stays there until the end. It's not like there's a little timer on the leaf. I've also seen people suggest, okay, the green leaf should turn yellow then red or something. I guess it's about to expire, because you can see it there, but like it's hard to keep track of 20 seconds. Or even if you're putting regrowth on multiple people, if you're putting regrowth on multiple people too, it's hard. But you're like, who's the first one that I have to go back to again? It's hard to remember because you can't tell the durations that are left on everyone. So you can see who the regrowth's on, but you can't tell how much duration they've left on the regrowth. Especially if, maybe you can see how much heal over time they've left, but if they're full health, that might not be an option too.
Yeah, because that's what I was looking at. I was like, okay, so they still have a little bit of heal over time effect on them, and then I was like, there's some times where I just put regrowth on someone, and then I assumed the regrowth had went off, and I used Moonfire, and they suddenly get healed. I was like, regrowth is still going?
Yeah. 20 seconds is a long time. But, I feel like when I'm playing him now, I'm putting regrowth on everybody just to try and keep it up all the time. But that quick...
Are you hitting minions?
With regrowth?
Yeah.
No, it doesn't actually count towards your regrowth numbers.
But I think if you put it on so I was reading a theory, and I think this is probably true, but I haven't tested this myself. But I suspect if you put it on, the camp, like a Merc camp, and push with the Merc camp, you can absolutely destroy, because I believe it will heal the Mercs.
The regrowth will heal them. The one thing it doesn't count towards is there's a little counter in the bottom corner, which tells you how many active regrowths you have, because some of your talents will proc based on how many regrowths you have, so it doesn't count towards those numbers. But you can still get the heal over time on minions and Mercs, and you will also still get like that little mini burst healing when you use a Moonfire on an enemy if they have an active regrowth on them. It just doesn't count as a regrowth on a hero for the purpose of talents, because there are some talents that you can take that will be like 15% bonus healing for every active regrowth. It doesn't count towards something like that. But Mystic, like when I'm playing, I'm putting regrowth on everything. I'm spamming Moonfire. I was out of mana all the time. Did you have this problem, or is it just me?
Well, I'd like to say that he doesn't have as much of mana problems, honestly, from what I could tell. Like, previous Malfurion spamming the Qs and Moonfire, you were out of mana like almost instantly. Now I don't feel it as much. I think it's because I use Moonfire less for damage because there's no, I mean, you know, you can use it for damage, but it's like I use it more for the healing, right? So it's like I don't spam it when it's off cooldown. So I just heal, and then the regrowth is going right. It's already healing them, and then I only use it when they need a heal. So
maybe your mana management's much better than mine, but I was having some issues with it. You were mentioning a trick too. I guess we're going to get into the talent tree in a bit, but you can pick the cooldown on Innervate at level 1, and later on you can also spec into where Innervate also gives mana back to Malfurion too. I mean, it's a little bit later, I think at level 13. However, it is nice to be able to get that mana refunded to Malfurion constantly, because I felt, at least anyways, that I was having problems keeping my mana up, and whenever you're a healer, you don't have any mana, you're kind of a useless healer. Okay, so there's a lot of micro required with Malfurion. You got that little like kind of sub game of having to make sure you're managing your regrowths. Did you find that it was kind of hard to keep everyone healed up? Because I found that it was very frustrating being like, I want to heal that guy right now, and he either doesn't have a regrowth on him. Maybe I just regrowth somebody else. Maybe my Moonfire is on cooldown too, even though it's only a 4-second cooldown. That could be a big difference. Like, you know, look at Ariel, with, you know, her heals when you need to pump them out too with their W. Like this cooldown, that can become an issue too. Do you feel like it's just more difficult to be a solo healer as Malfurion? Can you still get the healing output, but maybe the burst healing is a bit more tough to manage here? What do you think about Malfurion's place as a healer now, Mystic?
I think he actually has more healing output than he did, although the numbers turn out kind of the same. It's like if you have a regrowth on someone and you land at least one Moonfire, it's roughly the same as before, like all these changes. If you land anything more than one Moonfire, it's actually a buff. So you need to land more than one Moonfire. But yeah, there were a lot of times where I'm like, I can't heal any burst, even though the healing output is generally higher. You can't like heal burst like at all. If a target gets bursted, yeah, there's little to nothing he could really do about it. It's like you heal them, you use the Moonfire, and that's about it. But like,
yeah, and out of fights too. I mean, it's not like you necessarily need a lot of healing output when you're out of fights, but you've got nothing to Moonfire because you have to hit a hero. It can't just be like a minion or something with your Moonfire. So if you disengage and your whole team's really low, you can't easily top them up. At least takes a really long time to before you can re-engage, because there is no mechanism to get that big healing out, which I found very frustrating playing as Malfurion. So anyways, that's my thoughts on Malfurion. Maybe I'm just salty today. Maybe I woke up on the wrong side of the bed or something, giving Johanna's ultimate a hard time as well as Malfurion. But let's go over the talent tree, maybe kind of analyze how he's changed, because he's lost a lot of what have been previously pretty key talents. He's got some cool ones too to make up for that. And I know some people do like him, like Schizo in chat, who we were playing with yesterday, seems to love the new Malfurion. But hey, like, I don't think he's definitely going to be for anyone. I personally think he's going to come out with a release with a really low win rate as well. Okay, so level 1, he doesn't have Scouting Drone anymore. Very important to note. Shando's Clarity has also changed. Instead of giving bonus Innervation, it now just gives a cooldown of Innervate. The cooldown of Innervate regenerates 25% faster for each active regrowth on heroes. This is where we were saying before, it doesn't count if you put it on minions. Celestial Attunement, this hasn't changed at all. Moonfire reveals for an extra second in basic attack, since Moonfire revealed heroes deal 100% more damage. And the Nature Swiftness is new. Malfurion gets 5% movement speed for each active regrowth. What do you think about these level 1 talents here, Mystic?
I think Shando's Clarity is actually really good, because it makes him using Shando's Clarity as easy as breathing, basically, for freaking Malfurion now, because you're going to be casting regrowths. It's like an inevitability. So he pairs much better now with these mages, because they also, increase the cooldown, give mana and whatnot. So he can restore a lot more mana with this talent. So the only way that you wouldn't get value of this talent is if none of your allies have mana. I mean,
yeah, I mean, it's always great seeing talents that don't make you change your playstyle. Like here, you're going to be regrowthing everybody anyways, so you're benefiting from it just by playing Malfurion the way you're supposed to be playing Malfurion. You have to sit there and be like, okay, I'm Thrall, I got to hit 2 heroes with this lightning, so how am I going to angle myself so that when it bounces to the proper 2 heroes? Like, you don't have to think about that kind of stuff. Here, you don't have to think about it. You're just throwing out those regrowths, you're getting your Innervate cooldown reduction because of it too. What about the new one, Nature's Swiftness? Because you can get basically a 20% movement speed buff, pretty much nonstop as long as you're managing your regrowths properly.
I think you're gonna get about 15%. Like usually, if you have most of your regrowths up, you're gonna have maybe 20% for a little bit, maybe. But most of the time, you can get up to 15%. I think it's okay if the enemy doesn't really have like that much mobility, and then you need to run away a lot more often. But I think it's overshadowed by like the other 2 here, because Celestial Attunement, while Malfurion's auto attack damage was nerfed a bit because this talent was actually so strong, it's still pretty strong, and Shadow's Clarity is also it's pretty good. So
looking at level 4, Full Moonfire was removed. That's where you get the increased size on Moonfire. That's actually kind of baked into a later talent. Alun's Grace, which I think is a pretty big talent to be removed, has been removed. So you no longer get the ability range increase of 25% on all your abilities, which makes it a lot more dangerous to get in there and be casting those Moonfires, because now you are so much more reliant on hitting those Moonfires. They won't be as easy to land. Vengeful Roots hasn't changed. That's the one where it spawns a tree on, and you get the questing talent to increase the damage of your E's. Strangling Vines has been moved to this talent tier. It's 30% less healing for 2 seconds to any targets that are rooted for 2 seconds after they've been rooted. The notes in the PTR patch say 25%, but if you go into the in-game and PTR, it says 30%. That's what it actually is in-game, so I'm not sure if they're going to change that or not. And then finally, Deep Roots is a new one. The roots grow 25% larger and last 25% longer. And I say new one, but I think this is actually an old one that's just kind of come back, but it was removed, several balance patches ago. So this is all the E proccing abilities are here, but we've lost Full Moonfire. So Moonfire build seems to be kind of something you can't really do anymore, which I guess makes sense considering how his healing works now. But Alun's Grace has been removed here too. Like, these seem like 2 other pretty key talents have been removed. Like, have they been replaced with things that are better, Mystic, or what do you think here?
Alun's Grace was actually amazing because it made Malfurion a much safer hero, and he could root more offensively because of the increased range, so that's a huge loss. Full Moonfire, I mean, I can see why they kind of removed this from a level 4, because it made, hitting Moonfire easier, and they don't want to make Moonfire like super easy to hit, right? Because it's quite a bit of healing if you hit it with a regrowth target. The other talents here are actually pretty good, because Vengeful Roots, it's not a bad talent. It's damage, the broccoli build. We got Strangling Vines, which is also a pretty good talent. It's like you catch someone out and then you your team stuns them and they die. They have 30% less healing, so less chance to be saved there. And then Deep Roots, see, moving that talent tier here, or having that talent here, means that you can't take it with the healing, or the healing reduction. So while it is a really good talent in itself, it kind of sucks not having it with the healing reduction.
Yeah, I do like the Deep Roots generally as like a pick, just having that extra zoning potential too, because not only is it 25% bigger, but 25% longer as well. And I'm the kind of person on Stukov on level 1 takes the larger Lurking Arm just for that reason too. It does make it bigger enough to be kind of crucial in a lot of those geometries on those, especially those like point control maps like Abraxas or something too, just to kind of zone people away for a few extra seconds. So level 7, Tenacious Roots was moved to this tier. Roots on heroes last 25% longer, so this talent no longer increases the size of roots though, because that's done by Deep Roots on level 4, and Malfurion still gets a reset on roots if he gets stunned. Nature's Call is new. It's on a 45-second cooldown. This one's one of the more interesting talents that's been added to Malfurion's kit. Removes stuns, roots, and slows on allies with regrowth on them. So it's kind of like a cleanse, an AoE cleanse that can be even a self-cleanse to a certain degree when he hits that one button. Is this something that we're going to be seeing a lot of people take?
I think it's really good, actually, just because you don't have to be near a target for it to work. It just says remove stuns, roots, and slows on allies with regrowth. So if you put it on Falstad, let's say, and he flies across the map, and he gets rooted, but he still has the regrowth on it because it hasn't been 20 seconds, you could activate Nature's Call. He's not rooted anymore. So there's like things like that you can do.
We're talking about
the fact
a mosh pit counter too, right? Like you can just remove the stun.
It doesn't actually counter mosh pit, actually.
Well, if you'd remove the stuns from everybody. Oh, but they get restunned, right, when they're moving out?
Yeah, but they get instantly restunned because it doesn't make them unstoppable.
Gotcha.
It just removes one, like that instant.
It'd be like, be kind of like that, man.
I need to clip that.
Oh man, I am a mess tonight.
So just the versatility of Nature's Call, I think, is really good. Tenacious Roots is also pretty good. You know, it's not a bad talent. Wild Regrowth.
We actually didn't mention what that was too. So Wild Growth, by the way, is a new talent on this tier. Each hero hit by Moonfire extends all regrowths by 1 second. Continue, Mystic.
So, I mean, if you have all your regrowths going, it's like you hit one Moonfire, and I wouldn't say it's that great of a talent unless you can hit multiple people with a single Moonfire. It
does give you the opportunity, I guess, to be able to get 5 regrowths out as opposed to 4, given cooldown times. So maybe there's a case for it there as well. You can have the extra target with the regrowth on them if you're constantly hitting people with your Moonfire as well.
I think if you're going to go Wild Growth, you have to go the level 20 talent that is Lunar Shower that we'll get to in a little bit.
So what do you like the best here then? Do you like Nature's Call? Generally, I guess it's situational a little bit, the AoE cleanse.
If you can literally see no value with Nature's Call, they don't have stuns, roots, or slows that you really need to cleanse at all, then yeah, just get Tenacious Roots.
And then that you lose the ability of the stunning there, resetting the cooldown on the roots, but at least you get the roots for 25% longer. Okay, so level 13 too, we've lost a couple talents. We've lost Shrink Ray. We've lost Life Seed, which I used to like for the extra heals, but it's no longer there. We've got Revitalize on this talent tier now, though. Malfurion benefits now from Innervate, so that's great, like we mentioned before, to get him some of his mana management back. Of course, I think it comes a little late at level 13. Hindering Moonfire was moved to this talent tier as well. Moonfire slows heroes by 25% for 2 seconds. And Ice Blocks here, as per usual.
Ice Block!
LiQuid,
right,
you're gold.
I have to like.
That's you don't talk for like 3 minutes, and then you just Ice Block.
All right, I need to. For those of you that don't know, I wasn't feeling very well today, but I'm still here because the show must go on.
And a pint of Dynatap.
If I seem a little weird, I apologize. I'm having a good time though, so that's what really matters, right?
LiQuid's on some pretty heavy medication apparently. And it's working well for everybody.
I'm not coughing.
So, Mystic, is there anything other than Ice Block that you should take in this talent tier?
Well, if you're running out of mana a lot and you took the level 1 talent of Shando's Clarity, which reduces the cooldown of your Innervate for each regrowth you have active, you can take Revitalize here, which will make it so that you actually get some mana from the Innervates. And since you're casting Innervates as much as you can usually, then you're going to get a lot of mana back. Ice Block, like you said, is pretty good still. And then Hindering Moonfire, I think it's lost a bit of value here because while it is a pretty good talent, you don't have like Elun's Grace or some of the other Moonfire talents to buff it up. So I think it's a little bit more lackluster.
I fully agree. I think Hindering Moonfire is going to be a little bit tougher to find value with compared to the other two. At level 16, we've got Ysera's Gift, which has been there before, but this time it's a little bit different. The heal over time, but not your burst heals, will increase by 60% while your Malfurion's over 75% health. So that used to be 40%, but it used to also include healing from like the initial heal, which you no longer have. Moonlit Harmony is a new one on this talent here. It increases the heal of Moonfire by 15% for every active regrowth. And the Nature's Balance is a third talent in this talent tier. It's also new. Moonfire's area increases by 25%, and regrowth's duration increases by 5%. What do you think about these ones, Mystic?
These are all really good. Ysera's Gift, really good because most of Malfurion's Q healing is now increased by 60%, so that's pretty good. Moonlit Harmony, it's increased the the heal of Moonfire by 15% for every active regrowth, which means if you have 3 regrowths up, it's 45% increase. That's pretty good. So that's quite a bit of burst healing right there. And then the Nature's Balance, it's kind of a you pick it if you're going either the Moonfire build or you just want the extra regrowth duration so that you can get 4 regrowths out at once.
So I guess a lot of this question here then is, where does most of your healing come from as Malfurion? Is it a lot of the heal over time, or is it the burst healer? Like, which one should you be prioritizing on this talent here? Because there's Ysera's Gift. Yeah, maybe you'll get 60% extra healing, assuming Malfurion is above 75% health, but that's only area of effect healing, or sorry, your healing over time healing. Moonlit Harmony, to me, seems a lot more important because the one thing he doesn't have is that burst healing. This potentially increases that burst healing by, probably 30 to 45% on average, give or take, assuming you have it on 2 or 3 heroes at least at any given time. Whereas Nature's Balance seems to, it increases the healing over time and makes the Moonfire maybe a little bit easier to hit, or maybe you hit multiple heroes with each hit. I'd have problems picking anything other than Moonlit Harmony here, to be honest with you, but you think there's value in all of them?
See, Moonlit Harmony, I think, is the strongest talent here, but there are a lot of cases where you sometimes can't get in close enough to use your Moonfires for fear of getting instantly blown up or instantly CC'd and destroyed. So that's where the other talents would come into play here, where Ysera's Gift, you don't need to land any Moonfires, and then Nature's Balance, the regrowth duration is increased by 5 seconds, so you could just have it, just heal more on its own.
Okay, so you scaredy cat Malfurions out there, you can take Ysera's Gift or Nature's Balance, but if you're playing Malfurion properly and well, Moonlit Harmony is the way to go. That's what Mystic's telling me.
I gotta hold it. Scaredy cat!
There it is. Something was coming. I could tell it was brewing. You see a little steam coming off your forehead there. Level 20, we've got a lot of interesting changes here too. No more Storm Shield, which was my go-to all the time with Malfurion. Great having that, AoE just burst shield there. Rewind's also removed too, which I knew a lot of people liked as well. The Tranquility upgrade's been changed. Serenity, now every hero hit with Moonfire lowers the cooldown of Tranquility by 3 seconds. And while active, Tranquility's healing is increased by 10% for each active regrowth. Only 10%. But I guess you get, you're going to be hitting a lot of heroes with your Moonfire, so it'll be up more often. Astral Communion hasn't been changed. That's a Twilight Dream that you get the teleport with it in the upgrade to Twilight Dream. Life Bloom and Lunar Shower are now in this talent tier, or are new. Life Bloom is new. Regrowth instantly heals for 10% of the missing health for a hero, so you get a little bit of a burst, especially in lower health heroes. Lunar Shower was moved here, and this is one of the few Moonfire abilities that have remained in the talent tree. Of course, it only comes at 20. Hitting an enemy hero reduces the cooldown of Moonfire by 1 second from 4, so you get down to 3 seconds. So that's a pretty significant reduction. It ramps up the damage of the next Moonfire by 20%, stacking up to 3 times. So you can actually get some damage out of Moonfire. Of course, this is coming at 20, but also the reduction in cooldown make it so that it does potentially have more healing output as well. Mystic, I don't know what to take here. Can you please tell me what to take?
All right, so if you went the Moonfire build, Lunar Shower, amazing. You now have sustained burst healing. That's really good. Life Bloom, if you didn't go the Moonfire build, is the other talent that gives you a little bit of burst healing here. Somebody's low, you heal them for 10% of their maximum health. Now this doesn't work very well with really low health targets like Tracer or maybe even Genji, stuff like that, but it's still a really good talent, especially if you're healing your tanks. And then I kind of like the new Tranquility upgrade, especially because, you have regrowth up all the time. You can essentially get up to 30 to 40% extra healing on your Tranquility, which is really, really good. And you reduce the cooldown for every Moonfire that you hit, and you're supposed to be hitting Moonfires anyway, so you're just going to be having it up most of the time.
Okay. So the big question out of all this is Malfurion's obviously more complicated. I think that's a given. I think that's kind of a hard one to argue here. But and maybe, you know, like you said, it's a buff if you're hitting a lot of those Moonfires consistently. Is it worth the effort? Like, is it just easier to get a Stukov or like a Rhaegar, and then it's a lot easier to manage your healing?
Rhaegar is always better because now it's just Mecha Rhaegar. Like,
so Mecha Malfurion is required before LiQuid will start considering Malfurion here. Yes. But like, is there a good reason to take Malfurion when there's just less? I love how people like to throw this term around, but burden of execution is less on other healers. Like, it just feels like, why complicate things? It's like you're playing like a Lost Vikings, you know, like you just got to increase your micro to pull off what other healers might be able to with less micro.
I would say that Malfurion, he does deserve a place here. It's kind of like Nexus Stukov, where he doesn't heal as many targets, whereas he's still an AoE healer without Tranquility, but he heals just like 1 or 2 less targets, but with more output than Stukov. So Stukov does have the AoE healing. His Q doesn't heal as much over time as Malfurion, but he does have that trait where he can burst heal them quite a bit. Now, Malfurion doesn't use the trait, but he has to hit people with Moonfire. Now, if you hit multiple Moonfires, that's going to end up with being as much or maybe even slightly more than Stukov's. And I think that's really huge because you don't have to go Tranquility. Malfurion still maintains his root, which is pretty huge for like combos, like ETC into Malfurion into Kael'thas. That's still like a thing. And his Twilight Dream is, you know, it still exists. Like, it's still a pretty huge silence that can just shut down entire teams.
Some of my problems with Malfurion, and one of the reasons I think that his stakes fallen a lot, at least in my eyes, is that his potential to save a hero has definitely been reduced here. You look at most other healers and they have some way to counter like a sticky situation, right? Like Lucio's got Break It Down, Rhaegar's got Ancestral, even Brightwing's got the Disengage with their ultimate or Face Shield too, if you need like an extra little mini burst heal, right? Malfurion, he's missing this. Even things like removing Storm Shield or like, and just removing that initial burst heal. Like, if you have something getting targeted down, you can do a little mini heal, which I mean isn't a ton, but like you've got to find a target to hit in order to pull that off, and they also have to have an active regrowth already on them too. So is this maybe the problem that's going to lead Malfurion to not be able to solo heal here, or do you think he's still going to have a solo healing role to fill? Because I find it hard to think of a good way where he can effectively solo heal, except maybe in like a long sustained comp. But against burst, I think he's going to be very difficult to use.
You're correct in that aspect. I think he can still solo heal, but he does not have that, hey, I press this button and then I save you. So he doesn't really have any of that. I mean, he can, like, if, you know, your allies are being dove, you can just Twilight Dream them. That's something. A silence, it doesn't really, like, stop them. You can root them. That's something as well. But he doesn't have that burst save ability, really. So you have to find that from something else via another healer or, like, a tank with more CC or something. Or, like, even a Zarya, you know? It's, like, something that prevents some burst will really go a long way. Because he has the healing output. He has a lot of the healing output. He just doesn't have that burst.
I feel like we should have had Schizo from chat on the show today, because he's probably got quite, I know because I was playing with him yesterday.
Oh, he disagrees with everything you've said.
Pretty much everything, and he's one to counterpoint most of the things I've been saying today. And you know what? Like, I'm okay to find out that I'm wrong, but these are just my opinions. And I've seen a lot of people say that they've liked Malfurion the way that he's shaken out. Maybe it's because I liked having that, like, you just kind of lay back and you don't have to think as much about what you're doing, whereas now he's just got so much that you gotta juggle in terms of your thoughts. I feel like there's less brain allocation that I can put towards game sense, because so much of it has to be to that micro, which hurts my gameplay as a player. But if you're a higher skill level player, I think you potentially will shine with Malfurion. That being said, I do think he's lacking in certain areas, but as long as your team's playing around those deficiencies and knows that, if there's dive on the other team, like Malfurion can't necessarily get you out of it very easily. You just have to be very cognizant of that. Okay, so Mystic. Guess that means it's time for your shakedown, bud.
Shake it down!
I don't even need the bumper.
I require service of you. I come to you as a friend, asking you to shake down this situation for me.
So Mystic, shake it down!
All right. So for this week's topic, I'm going to talk about talent spikes. And I'm sure no one knows, or no hero knows more about talent spikes than Nazeebo, right? Level 20, get Vile Infection completed, you win the game. Or supposed to, anyway. So Nazeebo's level 20 talent spike is the Vile Infection talent, and it just makes him output a lot of damage. But other than that, there are other ones as well where heroics aren't the only talent spikes in the game. It's like, oh, they have a heroic, which is a whole nother ability, which is huge. But some spike harder than others. Like, for example, we have the Sonya level 7 Poison Spear. The Poison Spear is, even after its nerf, it's still really strong. And it gives you the ability to, almost destroy a squishy outright if you land that Poison Spear.
So good.
If Sonya hits level 7 and she gets that Poison Spear, it's like she almost kind of has a pseudo heroic at that point, unless you're level 7 or you're 1 to 7 has a talent that's equally strong, if not better, right?
A bunker,
but
to jump into, right?
You can one-shot Chromie. One-shot Chromie at levels. I love Poison Spear so much, it makes me happy.
You jump into a blaze bunker, you'll be fine, right?
Not all talents are created equal. So here we have these are heroics, but they're necessary to the hero itself and huge power spikes. We got Varian's level 10, where he actually becomes a hero, and he gets all these special abilities. He almost becomes OP at 10, I'd like to say. And then we have Malthael with level 10 Tormented Souls. He needs this talent to do anything in team fights. Other than that, if he doesn't have Tormented Souls up, and he can maybe 1v1 people, but he literally cannot team fight without this skill. You just have to run away. And then lastly, we have the Artanis with the level 13 Triple Strike. Artanis, not seen that much, but he's kind of bad early game, and then he has to get to 13 to 16, up there at level 20 to actually get going. And that's pretty bad in this meta, since most games are decided really early or end really early. But yeah. So most of this stuff is stuff that you have to watch out for. Not all talents are created equal. You got to watch out for these power spikes. Hey, they got level 7 and they have a Sonya. They now have Poison Spear, and I'm playing Violet. Maybe it's not such a great idea to just sit there auto attacking the Sonya and assuming she can't kill me or something now that she has Poison Spear, or
do so that I can kill you. That's okay.
Yeah. Or when you get to level 20, hey, they have a Nazeebo. I'm gonna go fight him one-on-one, and then suddenly my entire health bar is poison. Wait a second, what happened?
He's in an ice block, right?
Yeah,
Just waiting for the poison to go through. There's so many heroes in the game. It's so hard to remember where everyone's power spikes are, especially if you don't play certain heroes a lot. I almost wish there was a website or something where you could be like, hey, these are the 5 heroes I'm playing against. Just quickly just show me where the power spikes are, or even just which heroes. Because there's people have talked about before. I think maybe it was Cavalier Guest was talking about on this show about their power curves. So you will get certain heroes that are good early game and late game. They're the horseshoe characters, right? They're bad mid game. Some spike them in the mid game. Some are better on the end game, or some are better in the beginning. And it's kind of hard to remember. Even sometimes when you're drafting too, you're like, oh crap, we just drafted a super late game comp, but we're screwed in the early game. And it might be hard to remember that. off the bat, just like with all the different hero permutations and everything. It'd be nice to have like a website where you could like check out all these power spikes and see like where heroes' power curves typically are.
That would be cool to have. I would like that website.
Yeah, so,
That'd be
some listener, go do that and tweet at us when it's done. That's
Maybe we could just add it to Trolls GG.
Oh my gosh, no! The last thing we need is more work to like layer onto the website. Okay, I'll do it, guys. I'll do it. Done. Maybe this is good. Before there's too much work layered on top of poor Daz here. Maybe this is good.
No, I'm thinking maybe Mystic can come up with those things, and then we can just throw it on the website.
Yeah,
right?
well, actually wouldn't be too difficult to piece together. But irregardless, I think I'm gonna cut the show off here because I can see where this is going.
Can you?
Yeah. I can. I foresee exactly where this is going. We can chat about this stuff later too. And either way,
I feel moved by Meatloaf. I may have to start singing.
Oh my
soon.
God! So for those of you that didn't know, Meatloaf, I would do anything for love. You know that song?
Oh my God! You sang it, but I won't do that.
It was stuck in my head. Okay, story time. If you don't want to hear it, you could tune out of the show now. It's fine. We're pretty much done. But a few weeks back, it got stuck in my head. I don't know why. I think I heard it like on the radio or something. It was stuck in my head for a solid week. So I decided foolhardily to tweet it out. And I was watching Bags' stream, and Dorsch, who I have a funny feeling did see that tweet, knew I was listening to Bags' stream and decided to recommend or put that into this playlist. So I ended up hearing on the stream, I was like, what? Well, crap. And then, of course, what was I singing that night in the shower? Oh, Meatloaf, of course. So it was stuck in my head yet again, and I still haven't been able to get it out. That song, it's so grating and so long that on Bags' stream, I swear it spanned 3 games. I just sat there listening to Meatloaf. Maybe it was on repeat.
The number of games keeps growing because at first it was 2 games, now it's 3 games.
I had to walk uphill both ways. It's my story. I can tell it however the hell I want. It's a 15-minute song. I don't know. It spanned a large chunk of one game. But either way, it's stuck in my head. And please, please, people, stop tweeting me videos of Meatloaf because you're not helping the situation.
I beg to disagree. But I will say that it has been added to my Spotify playlist.
Yes.
So if you watch while I'm streaming, there is a chance that it will come up at random in Spotify. Just for you,
I
buddy.
found my little nugget of hell in reality here. Thank you, Meatloaf, for creating that hit in the 90s. Anyways, thanks everybody for listening to the Nexus Trolls Heroes of the Storm podcast. We stream this live on our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/TrollsGG, every week on Wednesdays at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 4:30 p.m. Pacific. LiQuiD, where can folks find you streaming Meatloaf?
So your best bet to do is follow me at LiQuiDGG on Twitter. My Twitch channel is also the same at LiQuiDGG, LiQiuDGG. My stream schedule this week's a little wonky because of some stuff we have going on at home and work. But I'm trying to get back into like a more scheduled streaming type thing. So we'll see how that goes.
How about you, Mystic?
You can find me at Mystic Shroud on Twitter.
And Mystic has not been tweeting videos to me of
That's
Meatloaf.
kind of disappointing, Mystic. Come on, man.
Mystic's off the hook.
Hey, don't kick a man while he's down.
He's on my
right?
blacklist. LiQuiD and Dorsch, you guys are on my hit list currently. And if you're looking for me, you can find me at DazHots. I am accepting tweets of all sorts, so have fun with Meatloaf if you really want to. And thanks to all of our patron supporters over at patreon.com/trollsgg. If you like the show and you're looking for a way to support us, you can definitely do so over there. You can also subscribe to our show on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, or wherever you happen to find your podcasts online. You can also visit our website at trolls.gg/TheNexusTrolls, where you can watch this and past shows, along with past video streams, which can also be found on our YouTube channel. For announcements of the show and general Heroes of the Storm news, you can follow us on Twitter at TheNexusTrolls or even at TrollsGG. And if you want to hang out with us in the Trolls community in-game, we're going to be doing some after-show games after this episode as well. Just you can /join TrollsGG in-game or join our Discord channel. The information for that is over at trolls.gg/Discord. And finally, if you need to get in touch with us, the best way is by email at TheNexusTrolls@TrollsGG. So LiQuiD and Mystic.
You're thinking about Meatloaf, baby.
Yes, I've been thinking about Meatloaf for far too long. Thanks, guys, for hosting with me as always. Everyone, thanks for listening. Have a great week.